On today's Cardinals squad show, the Cardinals beat the Kansas City Chiefs in their first preseason game. How did Kyler Murray do? How did Marvin Harrison do? What about those rookies? Jamil, Clancy, myself, we're going to break it all down next.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's the Cardinals squad. Sponsored by Game Time. Everything Arizona Cardinals every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Valley of the Sun. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up and squad up. The Cardinals Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into the Cardinals Squad Show. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show mornings on YouTube and a credentialed Cardinals media member. Thank you for making the Locked On Cardinals Show your first listen on this beautiful Sunday. And don't forget the Locked On Cardinals Squad Show is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So hit that follow or subscribe button to do it. Thousands of other Cardinal fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked onto the Cardinal Squad Show each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Joining me today from your regularly scheduled Locked On Cardinals show, Alex Clancy, as well as former Super Bowl champion, ASU football alum, and NFL offensive lineman, former NFL offensive lineman, Jamil Douglas. What's up, fellas? A Sunday directly after the Cardinals' first preseason game. How was that? Exhilarating? How do we feel about that? Clancy, I'll start with you.
It was good. You know, it was you take all of this kind of with a big old grain of salt, but you know, there were more positives than negatives, so I guess you can't really be upset about that. Nobody got hurt. There were a couple guys who hobbled off. Didn't seem to be any sort of major injury. Elijah Jones and Christian Jones, not related. But overall, positive. So you got to be happy about that.
Yeah, before I give my take, I got a bone to pick. You called me former Super Bowl champion. I'm still a Super Bowl champion today. Outside of that.
Listen, it's just one of 15 mistakes I'm going to make today on this show minimum.
It's okay. I just had to nip that in the bud real quick. I thought the performance was solid. I thought it was – you saw signs of life from both sides of the ball. The defense was flying around. Offense made some plays. A couple things that I was a little unsure about, but, you know, we got confirmation on. I enjoyed seeing the turnover from Kyler early because I wanted to see how he would respond after that.
Let's just jump right into that. We can get more into the offense in the second segment, but let's kind of just jump right into that. The biggest moment from this game was that Kyler Murray interception. Kyler mentioned after the game he didn't actually know what happened. He kind of basically said, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. I've got a theory on it. But not a great look for Kyler, who had the same issues post-bye last year, it felt like. Let's kind of talk about that for a second. Clancy, Kyler throws interception to a guy that maybe you could argue he just never saw him. What was your kind of reaction to that?
You know, I lost sleep because he threw a preseason interception. You know, it's really something. I've already started counseling. These are things that are really important in the grand scheme of life. He threw a bad ball. He was trying to pull back, and, you know, that's what it was. Like, the whole thing about – so I thought initially it was a miscommunication between Marv and him because Marv was kind of looking back. I thought maybe Marv's route there was to stop, and then Trey McBride was crossing, and it was a good play by the DB. But if he would have thrown that ball and nobody was there would have been nobody within 3 or 4 feet. So obviously there was some sort of miscommunication. He tried to pull the ball back, and he ended up just letting go of it. I don't think this isn't a big deal at all. Like he said post game that, you know, this is his first full speed rollout he's had this year. Like this is what preseason's for. And going against they shouldn't have played in the preseason. This is kind of the antithesis of that argument where it's like, okay, well, let's get all this stuff out. He's like, I'm happy that it wasn't against New Orleans, so that's fine. I mean, he completed all of his passes. One just happened to go to the other team. You know, so it was a pretty good outing by Kyler. Had one to Marv, had one to Trey, had one to Dortch, had one to Michael Wilson. This is kind of what you wanted to see from the first couple series of NFL football in 2025. So I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I think why I said I like seeing it is because I wanted to see how he would respond after that situation. Obviously, we know it's preseason. It doesn't mean a whole ton, but with Kyler having those turnover, I don't want to call them issues, but times, last year, I wanted to see how he would come out the next drive, and you got to see him kind of his demeanor changed a little bit. He started setting his feet, delivering the ball. I think he had a nice one to Trey McBride. I think both the tight ends actually caught one on that next drive. A couple play actions in there. And so it was just good to see him kind of get that out of his system and then go and play football right away. So I'm not mad at the turnover. Again, it's preseason, but I do think it says a lot about how, he'll respond moving forward.
All right, let's fight about this. I thought it was awful. I did lose a little bit of sleep last night, if we're just, going off it like that, with Kyler throwing a preseason interception, because it wasn't a tipped ball at the line of scrimmage, or even someone just made a really good play as a defensive back and jumped the gun. Post bye week, like, this isn't Patrick Mahomes throwing a dumb interception, or Josh Allen, or one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and you're like, that's just not them. That interception is kind of the epitome of Kyler Murray post bye week. You go back to that Kobe Bryant interception last year, where he just throws it to the other team. Again, in the Seattle game last year, in the second drive, throws another interception to the other team. Or the Vikings interception to Patrick Peterson Byron Murphy last year, where he just a guy wide open. Kyler has a tendency of making some god-awful interceptions that you're just like, what are you looking at? Yeah. Kyler tried to explain it and break it down last night. And there's a clip out there of it, like a bird's eye view of Kyler's position throwing that football. This kind of goes back to the height issues with Kyler. I don't think he ever saw this guy. And you're like, Ben, he was rolled out all the way to the left side of the... No, there was a guy right in front of him who had not necessarily contained, but almost like a flat zone against whatever the tight end was. I think it was Tip Ryman. He runs after Kyler. I don't think he ever saw the other cornerback playing in the, I think it's like a cover 3, or no, probably like a cover 2, that, what's it called? Hook zone right over there, where he's kind of out a little bit, following Kyler. I don't think Kyler ever saw the guy in front of him, because I don't think it was miscommunication. And it's not only that. If Kyler did see that guy, you have to throw that ball to the pylon. That is a out of bounds or Marvin Harrison Jr. ball. I don't think he ever saw him, and that's why the ball just went straight to the other team. And that is something that I think is a fair criticism of Kyler. But to be fair, in his defense, like Jamil said, I think he also has a tendency of spiraling after those kind of things. That happened in back-to-back drives against the Seahawks at home last year. He looked really good after that, but like, if we're grading his performance, I mean, I don't think you could give it any more than like a B-, because that interception was so bad. We can't have that anymore. That's kind of my point about it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to look. I mean, the big thing about the preseason from a quarterback standpoint and from a coaching standpoint, they want to see the operation be ran cleanly. It's like short and easy, kind of, get the guys out the huddle, complete the pass, let's get down the field and score. I was curious to see if they had drove down on the first drive and got, points on the board from a touchdown standpoint, would they have been done for the night? But, obviously with that pick, I think it kind of prolonged them being on the field. But, hey, it's a thing. I see someone says it's a thing, like the turnovers are a thing. I think the biggest thing is how he responded afterwards, and that's what I'm kind of focused on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just don't, like, he threw the ball 5 yards short from anybody around him. So obviously there was some sort of mishap there. I don't think it had anything to do with him not seeing somebody. But, I mean, this is something that Kyler deals with. These are the lulls that you take with the tippy top peaks that most quarterbacks can't get to. So most quarterbacks aren't perfect, and this is just his his Achilles heel. Yeah.
Is it overblown? Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Go ahead. It was what I was
just going to say, the reason why I'm not why I'm just not pushing it to the side, because I think it's really fair to do in a year that I think is very important for Kyler. He has to turn around the dumb interceptions. Not someone just makes a really hell of a play. Kyler, like that was just the epitome of like, I think if you're talking about the Cardinals first team offense scoring 10 points, as well as that second series, Kyler was going up against the 2s and 3s. Like a part of me is like, yes, you do need to show out against the Chiefs 2s and 3s. And he did. The first team, he was playing well against 2. It's a bad interception to throw. And it's just something that's worrisome in the regular season where you can't throw picks in the red zone. I don't know if they were exactly in the red zone, but they were right there, ready to score a touchdown. And Kyler just gets locked onto guys sometimes. I think that's what he was doing with Marv. And it was worrisome, man. That kind of stuff has to get coached out of him, come especially the second half of the season.
Yeah. Hey, speaking about coaching, I think it was open in the second quarter, and it was 4th and 1, and they went and kicked the field goal. That bothered me about the offense, just the mentality that you're building within the offense. Like, it's preseason. Keep the offense on the field. Work on your short yardage, your goal line package, whatever case you have. But like, I feel like that was an opportunity for us to see a different mindset or a different, like, hey, if we're in these situations, we're gonna go for it. So that bothered me about that from a coaching standpoint.
Clancy,
you're giving a young kicker reps. Like, we got to think about this.
It's enough reps in practice. All they do is kick in practice. They don't even join the team.
All Kyler does is throw in practice, and he threw it to the gut of a defender. So, like, it doesn't. Like, here's the thing: when it comes to preseason, you guys are being loony right now. Like, this isn't a big deal.
I don't think I'm being
loony. This isn't a big deal. What you want to see is conceptually, are both sides of the ball working? And conceptually, they are. Kyler made a bad throw. The defense looked, by and large, fantastic outside from a couple younger DBs who need more reps. But, like, all in all,
special teams needs to be addressed.
Yeah, special teams. I mean, special teams was the biggest eyesore, except for, like, the positive one is, first of all, Jeff Rodgers is one of the best special team coaches in the game. Okay, so it's going to be a tough week. It's going to be a tough week. A lot of laps run, like proverbial laps run by special teams. DJ Dallas, like Greg Dortch, that stuff doesn't happen. DJ Dallas is one of the best special team guys in the league. But there is one positive that, like, we're continuing to be reminded is they've got their place kicker and punter for the next decade. Like, Blake Gillikin came pretty much out of nowhere and has played very, very well. He had a great punt yesterday. And then Chad Ryland had three game-winning kicks in his first 4 games as an Arizona Cardinal kicker last year. And, he drilled a 50-yarder with ease. But, yeah, special teams was the sloppiest of all 3 phases yesterday.
Yeah, special teams was a little worrisome. Those type of things, obviously, we don't want that to trickle into the regular season. But I've played on teams, especially my first year in Tennessee, where we lost about 3 games just straight special teams mistakes. And so that can start trickling into the defense being in bad situations, or the offense being in bad field position. So like you said, they got one of the best coaches out there when it comes to special teams. That'll get fixed.
So before we move on, I think I kind of get Clancy's side, and I also kind of get your side too, Jamil. However, the reason why I'll give the Cardinals a pass on kicking the field goal, and as I'm watching that game, I'm like, come on, it's 4th and 1. Who cares? Just throw a Hail Mary. I don't care if you lose this game. It's a preseason game. However, I think it does say something like the offense put points on the board, and you could say to yourself, if you you kind of put the Kyler Murray's pick aside, you're like, they were going to score twice. Kyler had a hiccup. Some people could say that. I thought it was a little bit more than that, but whatever. Second series, they go in, they get 3 points. But also to Clancy's point, he, someone that was like, do they really need to play in the preseason? To be fair, they played kind of deep into that preseason game. Did anyone expect them to go like mid-second quarter? So at that point, I think JG was like, they have enough reps. I feel like I'm already pushing it. This feels like a little much. Let's send Chad Ryland out there. And, I know all they do is kick in practice, but simulate game time speed, make sure we don't have an issue there. And Chad Ryland's been awesome. And it was nice to just see Chad come out there, kick the field goal, and we're not going to talk a segment about Chad Ryland and do they have to go find someone else off the scrap heap to bring him in. So
yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see.
He made it like up and in, no worries about it, and like that, and that's what we want, right? It's what we want.
Yeah. So Jamil,
Yeah.
it's like
I love that.
It's an offensive lineman fantasy football league. We'll just start calling it that.
Come on, can we go for it on 4th and 1? Hand the ball off.
Yahoo Fantasy. Like
that's the perfect time. Listen, that is the perfect time to trot out maybe a new package that you might scare a couple week 1 guys with.
Why do you want to show that in the preseason?
Because now they got to spend time game plan. Just for perspective, after this next preseason game, they trickle into practicing for week 1. So whoever's playing in that 3rd preseason game, they're on a separate field. And then the guys that are going to be on the team, couple fringe guys, they start practicing for week 1. So why don't I just show, it's the Raiders, or is it week 1? The
New Orleans
Saints.
New Orleans, excuse me. Why don't I just show New Orleans that, we have this full house package, even if we don't run it? Like, let me just show them and get it on film.
They could have done that when Jacoby Brissett was in, and let me get there. Like, it was 1st and goal from the 1 or something like that, or they were down inside the 2 or 3 yard line. You could have run the big daddy package there if you wanted to run the tush push thing with Jacoby Brissett. They're running out of shotgun. So, like, this is a Play-Doh kind of thing. They don't care about the time and the score or anything. They're just running stuff, running different scenarios. So I feel like the field goal it's not a big deal. I feel like, listen,
maybe
none of what happened yesterday was a big deal, in my opinion, outside of, like, and we haven't talked about the defense at all. We've been talking for 16 minutes. The defense played really well yesterday. It's not about the 2025 is going to be a lot about the defense. Even though they don't have the ball in their hand. I think they played really well yesterday. So
a lot of good topics of discussion in the first segment. Get an overall feel and just an assessment of the game as itself. It's time for us to go over to the offensive side of the ball. Focus squarely on that. Kyler Murray wasn't even the only quarterback that played yesterday. So we'll talk about the offense. Marvin Harrison Jr. Hey, listen, that offensive line, Isaiah Adams and Jacoby Brissett and company. We're going to talk about it all next. First, today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop, phone, or really any device that you're using. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without even touching a spreadsheet. Listen, one of the things I've done is link all my accounts to Monarch Money, because one of the things I have issues with, I don't know if you have this problem too, is paying for unnecessary things that you didn't realize that you were paying for until months later down the line. Monarch Money, I'm able to check out those things, see my, what I'm paying for, my Twitter Blue fancy subscription, Paramount Plus, Netflix, all those different things. So allows me to have a full financial command center. So I know exactly what I'm paying for, what money's going in, what money's going out. So don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at Monarch Money in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL. All right, keeping the show rolling. We got a lot of things to get into here. The offensive side of the ball went absolutely nuclear yesterday from the backup quarterback position and on. But before we get there, I'm just curious. Let's just take a quick vibe check between those wide receivers and the offensive line. Not a ton of Marvin Harrison Jr. yesterday, but he didn't stick out for any of the wrong reasons. Anyone got anything to say about Marv, Clancy?
Well, hold on. The offense as a whole yesterday, like, all you want to see from the first team is maybe a splash play from each dude. So you got the one from Michael Wilson, where you had the catch and run for the first down. And then you had the in from Marvin Harrison Jr., the timing route where he had to adjust, caught the ball, went down to the ground. And then, as Jamil mentioned, two plays after the interception, He threw just an absolute laser to Trey McBride on the far sideline for a chunk first down. Greg Dortch had the it's not even the jet sweep. It's the catch and drop from the quarterback in front of Greg Dortch. He got a first down. Like, James Conner looked good. Trey Benson looked good. Amari Mercado got his touchdown. He got his time in the sun for that catch and run for a touchdown. Michael Carter looked good. Zonovan Knight looked good. Like, the point of this is the run game's going to be there, and it's going to be really good regardless of who's in the backfield. Like, that's the big win for me. Marv, fine. Trey, fine. You didn't really want to see more than what you saw. You get them off the field. All in all, this offense is going to be better than it was last year, even though they're running it back. And I think that's the biggest thing overall from yesterday. And yeah, the offensive line, like, Isaiah Adams had one pull that pushed a huge hole for James Conner to get a first down. The problem is when the twos went out there, you're like, oh God. Jamil, I'll let you. We can we can talk about that. But like, Hayden Conner is just not ready yet. Sixth rounder out of Texas, he's just not ready to play center yet in a backup role. The good thing is, John Gaines will get his cast off at some point, and you'll have Will Hernandez when healthy, and then you'll have Kevin Beachum. Like, you have trusted dudes on the back end to be able to, supplement if somebody were to get injured. But the offensive line, like, Chris Jones didn't play. They didn't play the majority of their studs on defense, but Kyler Murray was having a tea party in the backfield the entire day. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. I thought the offensive line played really well. I mean, I know, the first couple times they handed the ball off, it was like, 2-yard carry here and there, but they did break a couple big ones. And then when Kyler dropped back to pass, the pocket was clean. Like, he had time to go through his progressions. He wasn't rushed. Like, he was clean. So again, when the second group came in, we saw Jacoby getting touched a little too much, but I think, like we said, they didn't play, the Beachums and the, Will Hernandez when he's there. Like, they're going to be fine from a standpoint of depth and guys that can protect and run block. So I'm not too worried about that. I thought the running backs looked really good last night. All three of them looked really good last night. And that's a great problem to have in terms of, James Conner being the lead horse, but also just the mixture of guys and their different skill sets that you can bring in. Like, the Cardinals shouldn't have any issue on the ground running the ball. Like, there's ways to get creative. I did like seeing, the wham that got called back, like the creativity to toss cracks. Like, it wasn't just line up and run it straight. It was like there was movement to it, and I think that serves them well once they start mixing Kyler into the run game as well.
Yeah, Tip killed a guy. Like,
He didn't
get called. Luckily, thank everything that the hit wasn't the reason why he got called for the unnecessary roughness.
It was the helmet.
Stay down, B. Like, it was that one.
Yeah,
it was the second one. But he came in, like, when you look at this offensive line, and if you bring in bunch formation with 3 tight ends who can block, like, they can do what, like, if you told me they had a top 5 run game this year, it just depends on how much you want to associate this offense to the run. Like, that's going to be the big thing. Like, you don't have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride for them to block. You don't have them for them to be decoys. And that was the problem last year, where it's like, if you get lulled to this offensive sense of security where you're just going to run the ball, a la in Seattle after the bye week, it's like, no. You've got to be able to complement both. And I think that's something the Cardinals haven't been able to do well. But yeah, running the ball in a vacuum, it's business as usual. So for people who are giving Drew Petzing crap, yap, it's not easy to do what they do on the ground. It's not easy. Yeah. So he's not perfect, but he's a lot better than people give him credit for.
Yeah, Drew Petzing also didn't throw that interception last night. I mean, his game plan, everything about Petzing last night, I thought it was as creative as it could have been from the offensive side of the ball in the preseason. I thought the running game looked really good. Damn, the running backs made him feel a little bit better. I just want to zero in on 2 guys, because one guy that I was worried about last week in Jonah Williams, who I felt like that was starting to pick up a little bit. He didn't look great up until that preseason game. Credit to Jonah Williams. He looked pretty rock solid, but even more so than him, I mean, Isaiah Adams was moving guys last night, especially in run protection packages when he's just pushing dudes out of the way. So I think it's pretty clear now through one game, and I guess things can change, and we'll get reports out of joint practices this week. This is why Will Hernandez was signed, because you trust Kelvin Beachum. Hayden Connor didn't look great. John Gaines, maybe you trust him too, as well as Will Hernandez now. And now you're like, okay, I'm 3 guys deep outside of the first string of the offensive line position. Can we agree here that's probably why Will Hernandez was signed now? This depth was a little suspect, and we saw that late in that game last night.
I knew he was going to get signed anyways. This was not a surprise. He was going to come back.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you were the one that was like, well, it's going to be his job and not Isaiah Adams' job. And I thought Adams was really good last night, and you're like, okay, I still think this is Adams' job to lose for now. I think it was more a signing of, God, the depth doesn't look great. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah Adams would have been the depth if Will Hernandez started, so the depth would have been fine. Like JP said that it's going to be Isaiah Adams. I just don't. If maybe, I mean, I don't know if Will Hernandez is going to miss time. I think he will, but like, we'll see when push comes to shove. We'll see if 7-6 is playing right guard or not. I mean,
I think he will be. I think he will be playing right guard, and that's not a knock on Isaiah Adams. No. I just think that you go with the guy that what he can do in those situations. So I think obviously Will Hernandez got to get healthy from a standpoint of being able to play every down. But I think once he gets to that point, we're going to see him on the field, and that's not a bad problem to have. Like, I don't think that's a knock on Isaiah Adams at all.
Let's switch over this conversation a little bit to the backup quarterbacks. Clayton Tune looked awful, like he always has. And Jacoby Brissett, damn, man. I don't know about you guys, but I feel pretty good about if Kyler Murray gets that patented hamstring pull or rolls an ankle for a game or two. Jacoby Brissett comes into the game. I mean, like I think he's the perfect backup quarterback, right? Especially from what you saw last night. He ain't going to win you the game, and he ain't going to lose you the game. If Kyler's out for 2-3 game period, you're not talking about the Cardinals going 0-3 immediately, depending on their schedule, depending on the situation, depends what the other injuries are around them. But Brissett looked sharp last night, Clancy, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. He was playing against me, but yeah. It's
no, he wasn't.
Okay. To be fair, that team went to the Super Bowl last year. I'm just
Did the guys who were playing in the second quarter go to the Super Bowl, or were they handing out water bottles?
I don't actually know that. I don't actually know that.
Yeah.
I would have to see
this.
I'd have to see
where it's just like,
roster.
Look, Chiefs TV, Chiefs game, it's same thing. No, but he looked fine. Yeah, and he had that dart to Xavier Weaver. They finally got that. The ball got right under the DB's hand. He threw a laser to him. Like, listen. Jacoby Brissett, like John Mulaney, the comedian, has a really good joke about this, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, if Kyler were to miss time, it's like you were going out to dinner and leaving your kids with your mom. It's like, you're good. You don't have to call. It's going to be fine. It's going to be stable. You don't have to check in. And that's kind of what it's going to be like if Jacoby Brissett does see time this year. It's like he's an upgrade from Colt McCoy, and Colt McCoy had at least a 500 record starting for this team. And he went 2-1, I think, in 2021. He went 2-1. So like this offense is catered perfectly to what Jacoby Brissett is good at. And he came from Cleveland. He and Drew Petzing have a history. Like this was one of the better. Him and Calais were the two most like least sexy but most important offseason signings for this team. And you put the hand on Jacoby Brissett. It's not you're given 75% of what Kyler Murray is, and that's all you can ask for, especially this day and age, where if you don't have two quarterbacks, you are flying a tightrope without a safety net.
Yeah, I thought Jacoby looked good. I mean, he's as advertised. Obviously we want to see him get protected. But what I thought was interesting, and I don't know if you guys caught on to it, is until Jacoby got in, there was no pressures being sent at the offensive line. Like once the twos got in, it seemed like it was just fair game. On the flip side of that, though, I did see Arizona's defense pressuring early. So I wonder if it was like okay, you guys want to pressure, we're going to do it to you type of thing. But outside of that, I thought Jacoby looked good, man. I think, again, as advertised, he's somebody that can come in, run the system, manage the game. He's a big body. He moves well, like he's sneaky, elusive in the pocket when he has to be. So they're going to be in a good situation when it comes to the quarterback room. I wouldn't worry about Jacoby at all. Like, I just think he's somebody, he can make every throw. We've seen him play big games. Like this guy is like, he could start for somebody if he had to, like I don't think Jacoby's one of those guys that you can just, if he gets in the game, it's like, oh, we're good. No, he can beat you if he has to.
Just really quickly, Clayton Tune getting cut, or am I being too hard on the guy?
Holy cow! Quarterbacks. So I mean, he'll be around. Like he's not hurting anybody. Like I don't know if I don't know if somebody were to get hurt, if they would call, like Jamil would text Mr. Tannehill, be like, hey, you still want to play football kind of thing. Like, I don't think if Kyler gets hurt that they're going to not look for a guy to replace him to back up Jacoby Brissett. Like, This is not, like TBD. Let's just hope we don't have to have that conversation.
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation you're in, right? If you're well above 500 and the season's going great and God forbid Kyler goes down, Jacoby's the next guy up. Now you need to, address what's on the line and figure out something behind Jacoby. But honestly, if you had that too deep, like there's not a lot of teams in the league that have a too deep, from a standpoint of Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett. Like, I don't know. There's a couple, teams that have good situations, but that's a good spot to be in with those two guys.
Yeah, and one thing that needs to be delineated here is he's not coming for Kyler's job. He knows exactly his role, and he's at an elevated stance to do so. Like, he's the new age version of like Andy Dalton, where Andy Dalton comes in, he can win you a couple games. He's won games in the league. I know Andy started his entire career in Cincinnati, but Andy Dalton plays football for the love of the game. Okay, he's backed up a bunch of quarterbacks who probably weren't as good as him. He's like, listen, I'm here, part of a team, whatever. And that's what Jacoby's like. And he's going to be good for Kyler. And if he does have to come in, he's thrust into action, he'll be able to give 75 or 80% to Kyler. So that's good.
I can't believe it's already year 10 for Jacoby Brissett. And I think one of the things that gets looked over is for a backup quarterback, which you kind of thought was a worrisome thing when you brought in Clayton Tune, is not only is he the backup quarterback, but he's seen a thing or two. I think that's going to help with Kyler Murray's development as well. Offensive side of the ball, for all extents and purposes, looked pretty good last night, at least in stretches. The defensive side of the ball also looked pretty good, put in a bad spot at the beginning of the game. But outside of that, let's break down the pass rush, linebackers, quarterbacks, safeties, and let's do it all next.
Is that a question mark? We're definitely doing it next. This episode of Locked On of the Cardinal Squad Show is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. It's the best time of year. NFL's almost here, man. We're less than a month away. Fantasy football is in full swing. We're a couple weeks away. You could see how crazy your friends are with how early they do drafts. Like my Dynasty League, which is on Yahoo, they're doing their rookie draft tomorrow. I traded away all my picks, so I don't have to go. And then my league that I've been doing for 20 years on Yahoo as well, are doing it 2 days before the draft, which I think is crazy in its own right, but I like that. I subscribe to that a lot more. And to celebrate 20 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days through August. This is crazy. They've dropped this new league format called the Guillotine League. It's a killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo when the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. With the season around the corner, now is the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, you can still play in the head-to-head private leagues or join a public league. Stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL.
There we go. You are muted, my brother.
Keeping the show rolling to the defensive side of the football, making
mistakes. Win streak, baby. That's what, 5 shows in a row?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is 5 shows in a row. Listen, that's what Dunk does over here. Listen, he just got some issues.
Dink.
All right,
you're dink.
My dink.
Yeah, you're dink.
You're dink for sure.
That's tough. That's tough.
You're dink for
tough
sure.
Place to be. Defensive side of the ball. I feel like there's a lot of different places we could go towards here. But I think the most important thing that deserves the most amount of time is the pass rush last night. Multiple guys, pushing dudes around, trying to get into the backfield. Jamil, I'll let you start here. Pass rush last night. Give it a grade, I guess, or, point out a guy that you thought really did a good job. No Calais, no Josh Sweat last night. I'll let you get there.
Okay. All right. Well, I think technically the most important thing is the run game, but we'll start with the pass rush. I thought the pass rush was was really well orchestrated from a standpoint of like you don't have your go-to guys in the game. Outside of that, I feel like the run game needs, and I know Calais Campbell didn't play, Walter Nolan didn't play, but it seemed as if whenever Kansas City wanted to hand the ball up the middle, and I'm talking about when that, quote unquote first group was in there, it seemed like they got really good movement and they were, popping off 5-6 yard runs, sometimes bigger, which is a little worrisome for me just because when you're talking about playoff caliber teams, and I know Calais is going to be in there, but Calais ain't going to play every snap of the game. Right. He's just not in that position in his career. But when you're talking about playoff caliber teams, the ability to stop the run is something that has to be it has to be in your MO and in your DNA. So that worried me a little bit. The pass rush looked great. The defensive backs looked great. Like, I'm not worried about that Will Johnson penalty. The fact that he got a pass interference means he's close. He's on the receiver. And so I'll take those any day. Let's just clean up the technique. I know that, the back shoulder fade that was thrown on Max Melton, tough to defend, but hey, he's there. Like, it's just an adjustment thing that you can clean up. So the defense was as advertised. They were flying around and they looked good. It's just, I think the run game is going to be something that we got to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I didn't really care about the run defense. The reason why is because they weren't bad against the run last year. They were terrible in the pass rush and getting actual pressure from the A gaps in the interior collapse in the pocket. And what we saw yesterday was a couple different things. Do you remember? And for those that don't, there was a jump from the end of the 2022 season to the beginning of the 2023 season, starting in Washington, where it's like, oh my God, this team looks different. Didn't matter who the quarterback was, didn't matter how little talent they had on the defensive side of the ball. They presented themselves in a different way from the last regime. It was so obvious to anybody who's watched this team any sort of closely. Wow. That's what it felt like from last year to this year with the pass rush. So all they have are dudes. So one snap, Baron Browning's lining up on the right. Then he's lining up on the left. He and Zaven Collins flip twice. And then you have Darius Robinson lining up predominantly on the inside. Mac Wilson blitzed, I think, on the first play after Patrick Mahomes went out, got to the quarterback.
He ran through a guard's face to get there too.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's so many dudes that they could play, and that's not even talking about Jordan Birch, who had a hell of a game too.
Woo!
For me, it's the amount of guys they have who can play average to above average football, and it's a matter of Nick Roush just figuring it out. I think that was a big thing. It's all right, let's move this here, and move this here, and move this here, and let's just kind of see what we've got here. I think it looked good. The DBs, outside of Denzel Burke, who struggled, I mean, fifth-round corner out of Ohio State. He did have a TFL. I think it was on a wide receiver screen late, but he needs work. And I mean, it's fine. He's going to get his reps. He's not running with the ones. He's not getting this much run. He played a lot in the second half, which was good. Elijah Jones played a lot in the second half before getting injured. But Will Johnson, Max Melton, they're going to be fine. Garrett Williams played very sparingly. Budda Baker, same thing. But overall, outside of the downside for me, there were two. One, Denzel Burke didn't look great, but he's a rookie. Akeem Davis-Gaither didn't look very good. He was around wide open wide receivers a couple times. They went for pseudo chunk gains. So we'll see. It's a new system. It's a new setup for him coming over from Cincinnati. Didn't see Cody Simon until the second half, which was weird.
I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah. So that's pretty much a testament that ADG is going to start.
You got to go with the older guy, man.
Owen Pablo looks very slow in the middle of the field. They need a dude who can play. And I wonder if Cody Simon will run with the 1s or 1As next week to see if he can. I mean, he played pretty well in the second half, even though it was against guys who were trying to make roster spots. Sorry for the dive. Yeah, I mean, the defense was exciting. A lot of new things to take in. And then Darren Hall and Keaton Crawford both had interceptions. Both very athletic plays by two very athletic dudes. That safety room is going to be tough.
Yeah, I like seeing those two picks. Just from a standpoint of those guys going up and high pointing the ball, it just showed some physical ability. And I think when we talk about Starling Thomas being out, and you want to see guys making plays to kind of just comfort you a little bit in terms of like, all right, if we have to tap into our depth, then we'll be okay. I think another thing I wanted to say is I know the MO is to pressure with the defense. I think seeing that you can generate a pass rush without pressuring is a good sign. Like that's what you want to see in the preseason. You want to see guys get into the quarterback without having to spin the wheel to get there, because, you know, when a Josh Sweat comes back and Calais is in there and Walter Nolan, when he gets healthy, like that's just going to help the back end even more. So I think, we were talking a couple of weeks ago about Starling Thomas being injured. Is it going to be a big deal? Like, looking at it from that standpoint, you have to be encouraged to say, like, this defense is going to be fine. I want to see the run get addressed, but I think they're going to be fine.
Max Melton got a little exposed on that fade route, but like, there's nothing you can really take from that because,
bro, who wouldn't get exposed?
Dude,
the ball,
that was a perfectly thrown ball.
Yeah, I mean,
perfect.
It's
what are you supposed to do?
No other quarterback is it. There's very few quarterbacks that are making that throw. Josh Allen probably makes it, but like, that was a perfectly thrown fade route to the back shoulder.
I actually felt bad for Max because I was like, God, that's going to be on tape. And there's absolutely nothing you could do. You get there early, it's pass interference, which, I mean, if you're going to give up a touchdown, maybe you do that. But then next play, it's over. Like,
that's one of those ones. No, that's one of those ones where if you're the DB, and you see him catch it, you look at who threw it and you say, oh, that's Pat. I'll be all right. I'll be fine. I'll knock the next one down. Like, it's okay.
It's like those clips of watching Luka Doncic watch a basketball game, sitting on the sidelines, and throw him a ball, and he just flips it from 40 feet. And he goes, all right, well, on to the game. Let's continue. Yeah. 100%. I mean, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, I was going to say overall feel of that cornerback group feels good. Will Johnson, we'll talk a little bit more about the rookies in a second, but I just want to make sure we at least touch on him. There's a lot of rookies to spotlight in the next segment. I know we mentioned the pass interference call, kind of put in a really bad spot, but for all extensive purposes, I thought he looked pretty good last night, staying with guys, didn't give up any receptions. That cornerback group between him, Max Melton, and Garrett Williams. Will Johnson last night solidifying that real number one outside cornerback spot and just being able overall feel of him last night, Jamil.
As advertised. Like I said, I'm not worried about the penalty. Sometimes it's better to get the, like I said, it shows that he's in the vicinity and he can clean up his technique and he'll make the play next time. Like, this guy we talked about it. He was a first rounder. Like, it seems what is promising is majority of the guys that we're talking about on the Cardinals team is as advertised. Like, the scouting department has done a great job of getting guys that are going to be guys. Like, so I'm not worried about Will Johnson at all. I think there's going to be, we have to expect there to be some growing pains and some, little hiccups here and there. But I mean, we heard the guy's name one time, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is the only thing that you'll remember from a young DB playing in an early game is if he gets burned. That's it. And he didn't.
He didn't.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. He's going to have so much help from his big brothers over the top, man. Like, he is in such an incredible spot. He's supposed to go to a bad team. That he was supposed to be drafted in the top 12 and go to a bad team. He went to one of the more up-and-coming defenses that threw all of their cash and all of their draft capital onto the defensive side of the ball. Like, this isn't a normal situation. When you have that pass rush coming in, when you have Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, and Rabbit over the top, and you've got, like, this is something that could be, like, it truly – I saw the Trevion Henderson as a steal of the draft. I saw it all over after the 100-yard kickoff. I'm like, Will Johnson 47 is – it could be a terrible thing against humanity if he becomes an all-pro. The fact that because you don't see those stories very often unless there was some massive off-the-field issues, which there wasn't. So
listen, and there's a reason why the fade route went to Max Melton's side.
That's a good
I'm
point.
I'm not saying from a we're scared to throw it over there. Will Johnson's 6'2".
Yeah,
Max Melton's I think 5'10", 5'11". Like he's gonna he's going to start to learn, okay, what are people, and I'm talking about Will Johnson, what are people comfortable with throwing at me? All right, I don't have to worry about the fade. I'm going to start jumping certain things and just relying on my instincts. So like I said, there's a reason, and he's going to be a guy that makes a ton of plays this year. There's going to be hiccups, but, I think it's going to be a lot more plays made than hiccups in his instance.
Agreed. And if they want to take it slow, they can take it slow.
Yeah.
They've got the infrastructure in place if they don't want to start him right away.
It kind of went past him just a little bit because we also got some fringe roster spot guys we'll talk about in the next segment, as well as some rookies. But Jordan Birch, there's something there. That was a guy in the 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken, that I hadn't heard a lot of. I watched him play at Oregon, but I wasn't, spotlighting him as one of the premier pass rushers. Again, 2nd, 3rd team guys, but it's better to look dominant against those guys than, anything other than that. Cardinals, a potential steal at the defensive outside linebacker position on this Cardinals team in the 3rd round. That's been something that has bit the Cardinals in the butt over the past couple of years. If I'm not mistaken, I think Elijah Jones was a 3rd round pick, maybe not. Tip Ryman was a 3rd round pick. Those are some things where, Monty's had a little bit of trouble in. Jordan Birch last night, pushing over dudes, getting to the quarterback, pushed a dude into the quarterback, and the very next play, sacked the quarterback. I mean, there's some real twitch to that guy where you're like, oh my goodness, maybe we're not going to be so reliant on Baron Browning and Zaven Collins after all.
Yeah. I mean, I was on the Jordan Birch train pretty early. Like the dude, so I had Spencer McLaughlin on from Locked On Ducks. Oh, yeah. Months ago. And he said he didn't know that this is one of Jonathan Gannon's favorite words. And I was saying, so what Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rellis look for in a pass rusher is violence. And he starts laughing. And he said, that's what I was going to use to describe him. And he's one of the better bull rushers in the draft. And what Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rellis do better than many of the things they do well is they put players in a position to do what they're excellent at. And that's something that Jordan Birch is going to be able to thrive on in 2025. Like, I have no doubt that even if it's just a situational pass rusher role, it's a huge bump up from their old situational. It's a huge bump up from like a Dennis Gardeck, who's a situational pass rusher. This dude will eat your lunch. Like, this guy is no joke, and he's much faster than he should be at his size.
Yeah, I think my thing is he's gonna be a good player for the Cardinals. I think in a situational, I would like to see him more in situational roles as opposed to an every down guy or every down rusher. Like, save that guy for you want him fresh. You don't want him on the field all the time and rushing. Because I think, like, if I'm thinking about tackles that, like, are we Lane Johnson, the Lane Johnsons of the world and things like that, like, you want him to come in and be fresh and be a change of speed guy off the edge. So it was exciting to see him generate as much noise as he did in the backfield. Again, it was against the 2nd and 3rd group, but to dominate that group gives you the promising feel that, okay, this guy we can put this guy in advantageous situations and let him play, and he's gonna make some plays for us.
Let's wrap up the show talking a little bit more about those rookies and mostly some fringe roster spot guys. Amari Mercado, Darren Hall, Kitten Crawford, Xavier Weaver, to name a few. And let's do it all next. Closing out the show, a kind of sneaky rookie that is also a fringe roster spot guy that I wanted to get into. Kitten Crawford is going to make things really difficult in that safety room, cornerback / room, where you're like, I'm not so sure who you're going to cut, because Kitten Crawford is a 7th round guy. Those guys get cut all the time. He looked really good on special teams, as well as, man, he's got some ball hawking abilities, or at least flashed that last night with an interception, and just looks like a mean mother effer in the middle of the field. Clancy, Kitten Crawford, I know you've mentioned him a couple of times in the show.
Yeah, I mean, people that I trust in this space said that a steal in the 7th round, he probably should have gone in the 6th or something like that. out of Nevada. Like, playing safety, you got to be kind of a weirdo to play safety. Like, it's not really like a cookie cutter position. The instincts are something that really can't be taught. You're either going to be good at it or you're going to be average at it, and the average ones get cut. Like, that's not an easy play for any NFL player to make what he did yesterday. And again, preseason game, Bailey Zappi, whoever the hell it was, Bailey Zappi was hucking it. And then the guy who came in after him. But like, that was playing 3 flies up as a kid. And he just went up and got it, controlled it, and went to the ground with it. Like, that was a pretty special play. Like, and you could say the same about Darren Hall. Darren Hall was the darling of the preseason last year. We had a couple interceptions. I'm surprised he didn't make the team. He looked probably going to be a practice squad guy this year. Like, this is a very good problem for their farm system. Looks pretty nice. I'm not saying that Budda Baker gets hurt. Keaton Crawford's going to come in and start, but they've got some dudes over the top in this farm system. These guys are young. These guys are kids. Maybe they stay and they're in the practice squad for a couple of years. They don't get picked up. Then they make the squad a couple of years from now. But, the fringe guys look good last night. Like, all of the guys, they're making it very difficult for Monty Oxford and Jonathan Gannon to pick 53, or pick 90, whatever it's going to be with the first cuts.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what you want out of, any position group when you're in training camp, is you want to have those hard talks of like, okay, if we cut this guy, is he going to be a practice squad guy, or somebody else going to go grab him and we're going to regret that decision? Like, those are great problems to have, as opposed to like, no, we know exactly who we're cutting because he just doesn't fit or he can't do it from an ability standpoint. So again, like I said, man, the defensive back room is going to be fine. Like, they've got guys that are ball hawks that can go up and high point the ball from anywhere on the field. They have range. Like, it's a good problem to have. I really don't have anything outside of that to say. Like, they're it wasn't like there was no one getting torched or cooked outside of that. So it's a good situation to be in.
Yeah, there's a couple of other roster battles that I want to get into, but I think this one's a little bit more important than the cornerback spot. Amari Mercado continues to show flashes of, damn, this guy is just a solid NFL running back. But you drafted Trey Benson in the 3rd round last year, kind of came into his own late last season. Who is running back 2 right now? Amari Mercado had the splash play. There's no question he's better than Trey Benson right now in pass protection packages. So that's going to be, the job if you're a 3rd down running back. But Trey Benson obviously could still win that role as well. Who is running back 2 right now? Or do they just have a bunch of running back 1/3s where everyone's just going to get some reps, which is also a pretty good problem to have, Clancy?
I don't think it's a good problem to have.
Okay.
Like here, So, of course, I tweet out Amari Mercado is not going to see the field much after Trey Benson goes nuts and then Amari Mercado catches the touchdown. So that's been fun. He
looked good. He didn't just catch it. He looked good getting to the end zone.
Yeah, against me, absolutely. Here's the thing. Trey Benson has a much higher upside, like wildly higher upside. The floor right now, Amari Mercado has a higher floor. He's been in the NFL a couple of years and he's seen the reps. What Amari Mercado does well, unfortunately, is what Trey Benson's weakness is. Trey Benson has trouble finding holes and just hitting them because he's got the scoot. He's got the juice. If he can learn to see a little bit quicker, and he didn't get a lot of run last year, okay? So if he can see the holes and hit them quicker like he did towards the tail end of last season, this isn't going to be a conversation. But the bad problem to have for me, like you just meant that you said the opposite of, is I don't want James Conner and 4 other dudes. I want James Conner and 1 other guy, because the relationship, and Jamil can attest to this, the relationship between running backs and offensive linemen, they're all pros. If you had 3 dudes who had 33% of the touches, but it's still a mind shift. Everybody has their strengths. Everybody has their weaknesses. And with Drew Petzing's offense, it shows that anybody can run the ball in this offense who has the ability to be the best running the ball. That's what it is for me. And for me, until proven otherwise, it's going to be Trey Benson. I don't care where he was drafted. I don't care if he was at Safeway the week before. That doesn't matter anymore. Like, If Trey Benson better than Amari Mercado, if the answer is yes, you give him the lion's share of the rest of them, and you bring Amari Mercado in maybe for third down, the spell work. But I don't care where they were drafted. Put the best player out there.
Listen, I think Trey Benson's still number 2. Like Amari Mercado, great play on the screen. Trey Benson was getting handoffs from the quarterback, so like he was getting the horse work, the work that you would see a James Conner get. And I mean, I would like to say that if Trey Benson had caught that screen, he's doing the same thing. Like he has the ability to, take that for however far it was, 60 or something. It looked a lot further than what it was. But I just think, do they keep 3 running backs? Amari Mercado is going to make it, again, tough for them to say they're going to have to short another position. And that's where, like, the whole training camp gets interesting, is like, okay, figuring out your numbers. Obviously, if Mercado goes, he's not going to practice. Someone's going to grab him just off of his ability alone. So I think Trey Benson's 2. I think if James Conner wasn't my number 1 running back, I would say keep 2 running backs. But because James Conner is an older back, and I'm not saying he's slowing down, but he's just an older back, a lot of tread on the tires, I'm saying you got to keep 3. And yeah, maybe 1 week somebody's inactive, but hey, 3 running backs in the NFL that can tote the thing and take it to the house is a good problem.
Another fringe guy last night, because I don't want to just let him go to the side. Xavier Weaver looked, touchdown, contested catch. He's got that twitchy ability. He's got, I think, straight line speed that can help this team. A little bit of a smaller player. Maybe fighting for Greg Dortch between supremacy in that wide receiver depth chart. Greg Dortch fumbled, but then also had a jet sweep where he looked really good, making dudes miss. Xavier Weaver had a touchdown last night. Could Xavier Weaver steal not a roster spot, because I think both guys are going to make the team, obviously, but steal that third string, second string position on the roster spot last night? Because that's his 2 preseasons in a row. Like, he looks like a solid player.
Second string, like, sorry, I don't think
that second set of wide receivers. So the Cardinals.
Okay.
Sorry. So obviously behind Michael, Marv, and
Zay.
That second set of guys right there. Who could be the first guy out?
Zay. I'll let you go on this, Clancy.
Yeah, the truthful statement is there are 50, 60 dudes just like Xavier Weaver in the NFL in the same spot, which sucks. Because I remember watching him at Colorado. I remember watching him pop when Jimmy Horn got hurt and he popped. It's like, oh, this dude's – and then I saw him bring him in as a UDFA. I'm like, oh, perfect. Monty, absolutely. I'm still taking Greg Dortch over him. It's not that it's not particularly close. It's that Kyler and he have the history, and they just use Xavier Weaver as a go route dude. Like, he's not running any other route in the route tree except for that slant in the end zone yesterday. Like,
no,
he only played 2 games last year, and he was on the 53-man roster. So like, they like him. It's going to be very difficult to determine if he's going to be that guy. And like, the only time that would happen, and I'm not saying this is going to happen or should, if for some reason Zay Jones forgets how to play football, and then Michael Wilson needs to move into that role, and then you have Xavier Weaver as another, twitchy, fast dude to complement, that'd be like Zay Jones has his roster spot. It's not Greg Dortch, it's not somebody else. And it should be right now, but I don't know, man. You need as many fast dudes as you can get in this league, especially with how not fast this team is outside of Dortch. But I think he's on the outside looking in. He'll still make the roster, but I don't think he has impact snaps next year with the way things are.
I just didn't expect the entire Cardinals roster spots to be this close. But we've done an hour of the show, and I've done an hour on the Cardinals preseason game last night. We've really barely scratched the surface. So if you want more, join us on Wednesday, and Wednesday at 6 p.m. I want everyone to get yes in the chat. I believe that's what we all agreed on. 6 p.m. Wednesday, where we'll break down not only Cardinals joint practices, maybe a little bit more of the preseason, as well as previewing that preseason game next week against the Broncos. For everyone in the chat, thank you for making Locked On Cardinals Squad Show your first listen. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL Scouting as training camps get closer. I guess as training camps really come to a close here and moves are being made, host Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan going in to the regular season. Find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. For Jamil, for Clancy, for myself, everyone in the chat, we appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. There's many of you in here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and until Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll talk to you all